Welcome back, welcome back. So there it is, we've been hearing from the main players. Let's now look ahead and see what the future may bring. To help me do that, I'm joined by Hanan Ashrawi, member of the Palestinian Legislative Council and a great ambassador for the people of Palestine, by Isaac Herzog, son of the former Israeli president and now a member of the Knesset, and by our very own Marwan Bishara, Dr. Marwan Bishara, indeed, Al Jazeera's senior political analyst. Let's take one or two of the quotes that we've heard during the program. Here's one from Salam Fayyad, who said, "Roadmap obligations so far in settlement activity are very clear. The language there says complete settlement freeze. Now that says not one more brick. It does not say you make an exception here or another there." In other words, this whole question of the settlements is absolutely, he was, we said, somewhat depressed talking about this. What's your comment on that quote, Isaac Herzog?
First of all, I have great respect for President Abbas and Prime Minister Fayyad. Clearly, I understand his view and the way he presents it. I must say that in most of the territories, there is a total freeze, absolutely, and I can show you data that shows dwindling down of settlements. In the settlement blocks that were even agreed in the Geneva Accord, in Camp David, and the like, which everybody understands that in the future two-state solution will be part of Israel as part of an exchange of land with the Palestinians, there is some activity. It's not so elaborate and so developed as one sometimes tries to portray it. I want to add one more point. I think it's very important. I am very happy that Professor Ashrawi is with us because despite the arguments and the differences, I think we both share a vision of a two-state solution, and we're part of a major coalition in the region that is now, even today, in Beirut, is confronted by a very dangerous coalition of extremists that we have to confront together.
Thank you very much. Hanan, your response to that quote and to indeed what Isaac has said.
Well, I think the issue of settlements is absolutely crucial because settlements are antithetical to peace, and they're antithetical to the requirements of building a two-state solution. And therefore, there is no exception. I agree entirely with Salam Fayyad that the language even of the roadmap says you cannot build another settlement or another structure or another housing unit. And of course, we do not bestow retroactive legitimacy on any settlement. All settlements, as far as we're concerned, are illegal, are an obstacle to peace, and must be dealt with accordingly. And all settlement activity has to be stopped. Now, you cannot tell me that, no, we've already annexed Jerusalem, which we don't recognize, and therefore we're going to build in and around Jerusalem. Or we have a sort of tacit or implicit understanding, we're going to annex the major settlement clusters, and therefore we will build in those settlement clusters. What actually is happening is settlement expansion, a feverish settlement activity that is undermining all efforts at negotiations and peace, that is undermining voices of peace and moderation, and that is sending an absolutely lethal message to the Palestinian people that the Israelis are not serious, that there is a real gap between the vocal intentions and between actions on the ground. Right,
thank you, Hanan. And now coming to you, Marwan. You've heard those two dramatic points of view.
Yes, well, you know, we all understand that the roadmap is the lowest of all bars over the last 15 years in terms of the peace process. We all began under a certain understanding called UN Security Council Resolution 242. That's the base of the negotiations, where the idea of settling an occupied territory is illegal. Now, the question of freezing settlements, that's really the lowest thing the Palestinians can accept, because what the Palestinians have said from the beginning, there should be dismantling of settlements. Now, the problem between the two, Sir David, is the question that the settlements today make up a structure that is superior to the Palestinian system of living in the occupied territories. The settlements are connected with bypass roads, with industrial zones, creating two systems within the occupied territories, a superior one for the Jews and an inferior one for the Palestinians. Hence, the concept of a neo-apartheid system in Palestine. So settlements is not just an obstacle, it's a main problem to achieve peace in the Palestinian territory.
And one basic question, all through this program, we've been hearing about whether the deadline of George Bush's of getting a political settlement, getting a settlement by the end of the year will happen or won't happen. People have said a Palestinian state maybe in 5 years, Shimon Peres says, and various lengths of time. But we were talking, starting from this point, of George Bush's actual deadline for trying to do it by the end of this year. Now, if that's going to happen, what has he got to do to help make his prediction come true? What has he got to do? Hanan.
Well, it seems to me they have to develop something that the American policy and successive administrations have not had for a long time. The political will and the backbone to stand up to Israeli violations and to undo all the damage that was done in terms of the peace process and the requirements of genuine peace, and to act genuinely as even-handed peace brokers.
Thank you very much, Hanan. And let me ask you your comment on what George Bush could do to hasten this process. Isaac.
You know, David, the problem is when I listen to Hanan is that she's totally forgetting a few points. Number one, we've shown that we can dismantle settlements. We've evacuated the whole Gaza region. We went through a very complicated democratic process, which unfortunately the Palestinian people haven't gone through yet, to look in themselves in the mirror and say, can we together as a nation get over the hurdle? We've done it. We've shown that settlements are not the problem because we can dismantle them. And yet when we moved out of Gaza, promising our people there will be peace and tranquility, we've been suffering missiles and rockets ever since. And all I hear from Mrs. Ashrawi, of course, is that Israel is doing this, that, and the other. And where are the Palestinians? Are they fighting the Hamas who has taken their homes brutally, who has killed her colleagues, their families, their brothers and sisters who were their partners in Gaza? Are they challenging them? Are they arguing with them? Are they debating with them? Are they saying they're illegitimate? So the problem is much more complex than that.
Thank you very much for that contribution. We've just got time for a last word from Marwan. What can America do?
Well,
what should America do?
Unfortunately, Sir David, the question today is that America has lost all legitimacy in the Middle East because Israel and America are two states that occupy other states in the Middle East. Hence, the least President Bush can do now is liberate himself from Israeli pressure, lobby as well as Israel in the Middle East, bring in the international partners such as the so-called Quartet, and really impose a solution on Israel and the Palestinians on the basis of international law, international legitimacy that exists already. We've known the solution for many years, Sir David. It's called withdrawing from the occupied territories and finding a just solution to the refugee problem. We've known it for many years. We've ignored it for many years.
Thank you all very much indeed. And I think all three people would agree on one thing. There's, of course, a long way to go. But the concept of a Palestinian state is at least accepted by almost everybody now. And we hope that you will join us in a year or two for a program about the first anniversary of a Palestinian state. Goodbye for now.